You know that moment when you realize the person you built a life with has become a complete stranger? Yeah, I had that moment. But instead of falling apart, I did something that changed everything. Stick around, because this story about betrayal, growth, and the most satisfying comeback you'll ever hear is just getting started. My name is Jessica, and for 12 years, I thought I had it all figured out. A decent marriage, a beautiful daughter named Lily, and what I believed was a partnership with my husband, Matthew. Turns out, I was living in a fantasy. Matthew worked in finance. Long hours, high stress, you know the type. I ran a small graphic design business from home, so I could be there for Lily. We weren't rich, but we were comfortable. Or so I thought. The cracks started showing about 2 years ago. Matthew became distant. More late nights at the office. More business trips. The usual red flags that everyone sees in hindsight, but somehow misses in the moment. I wasn't stupid. I noticed. But when you've been with someone for over a decade, you want to believe the best. You tell yourself it's just a phase. Work stress. Midlife crisis. Anything but the truth. Then came the night that shattered everything. It was Lily's 10th birthday. We'd planned this whole party for weeks. She was so excited. Matthew promised he'd be there by 3 o'clock to help set up. 3 came and went. 4 o'clock. 5 o'clock. The party started at 6. No Matthew. I called. Straight to voicemail. Texted. Nothing. I held it together for Lily, watching her little face scan the door every few minutes, hoping her daddy would walk through. He never showed up. At 9 that night, after all the kids had gone home and Lily had cried herself to sleep, Matthew finally stumbled in. Not drunk. Not apologetic. Just annoyed that I was upset. Something came up at work, Jess. You're being dramatic. Dramatic. My daughter spent her entire birthday party making excuses for why her father wasn't there, and I was being dramatic. That's when I knew. Something was seriously wrong. I didn't confront him that night. Instead, I did what any woman with a gut feeling does in 2023. I started paying attention. Really paying attention. It took less than a week. I was picking up Matthew's dry cleaning when I found the receipt in his jacket pocket. Dinner for 2 at Marcello's, the most expensive Italian restaurant downtown. $240. On a Tuesday night. A Tuesday when he'd told me he was working late on a presentation. My hands shook as I checked our credit card statement on my phone right there in the parking lot. Jewelry purchases. Hotel rooms. Charges from stores I'd never heard of. But here's the thing that gutted me. Children's clothing. From a boutique that specialized in toddler wear. Matthew didn't just have someone else. He had a whole other life. I hired a private investigator. Sounds extreme, I know, but I needed proof. I needed to understand the scope of what I was dealing with before I made any moves. 3 days later, I had my answer. Her name was Vanessa, 28 years old. They'd been together for almost 3 years. And they had a 2-year-old son named Connor. Let that sink in. While I was home raising our daughter, helping with homework, packing lunches, going to parent-teacher conferences alone because Matthew was too busy, he was building an entire second family across town. The photos the investigator showed me felt like looking at someone else's life. Matthew at a park, pushing a toddler on a swing. Matthew at a birthday party, holding a little boy who had his eyes. Matthew smiling wider than I'd seen him smile in years. I sat in my car in a grocery store parking lot, staring at those photos until my vision blurred. The grief was crushing, but underneath it, something else was growing. Something sharp and focused. Anger. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I walked into our house that evening, placed the folder of evidence on the kitchen counter, and waited. Matthew came home around 8. He walked right past the folder, heading for the fridge. It's all there, I said quietly. Everything. He froze. For a second, I saw panic flash across his face. Then it hardened into something I didn't recognize. Jess, I can explain. You have a son. My voice didn't shake. A 2-year-old son. With someone else. While you're married to me. While you have a daughter who worships you. He ran his hand through his hair. That nervous tick he'd always had. It just happened. I didn't plan this. You didn't plan it? I laughed, and it sounded bitter even to my own ears. For 3 years? You accidentally had a whole relationship and a child for 3 years. What he said next, I'll never forget. Vanessa understands me in ways you never could. And Connor, he needs me. He's just a baby. And Lily doesn't need you? Your actual legitimate daughter doesn't need you. Matthew looked away. That's different. Lily has you. She's always had you. Connor only has Vanessa and me. That's when it hit me. He'd already chosen. Maybe he'd chosen years ago, and I was just too blind to see it. I filed for divorce the next day. I asked for full custody, child support, and half of everything we'd built together. Matthew's lawyer fought me on every single point. Suddenly, the man who'd been too busy for his daughter had all the time in the world to drag me through legal hell. But here's where it got truly ugly. Matthew started missing his scheduled visitation with Lily. At first, it was once a month. Then twice. Then he just stopped showing up altogether. When I'd call him, he always had the same excuse. Connor's sick, or Vanessa needs help with the baby, or it's just not a good weekend. Meanwhile, Lily would sit by the window every other Saturday morning, her little backpack packed, waiting for a father who never came. I watched my daughter's light dim. She stopped talking about him, stopped drawing pictures for him, started saying she didn't care if he visited or not. But I knew she cared. God, did she care? The final straw came 6 months into the separation. It was Lily's school play. She had the lead role as Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz. She'd been practicing for months. I sent Matthew the details 3 weeks in advance. Sent reminders. Called him twice. I'll be there, he promised. Tell Lily I wouldn't miss it for the world. The auditorium was packed. Parents everywhere with their cameras ready. I saved a seat next to me, right in the front row where Lily could see us. The lights dimmed. The curtain opened. And that seat stayed empty. I watched my daughter scan the audience during her opening number. I saw the exact moment she realized he wasn't there. Her voice wavered just for a second, but she pushed through. She was incredible. A born performer. When it was over, all the other kids ran to their families. Lily walked slowly to me, and without a word, buried her face in my shoulder. He didn't come, Mommy. I know, baby. I know. That night, after I'd tucked her in, I called Matthew. He answered on the 5th ring, and I could hear children laughing in the background. You missed the play, I said flatly. There was a pause. Oh God, Jess, I'm so sorry. Connor had a thing at his daycare today, and we just... Stop. My voice cut through whatever excuse he was building. Just stop. You chose a daycare event over your daughter's school play. Do you understand what you're doing to her? It's not that simple. Connor's younger, he needs more. He has 2 parents who are fully present in his life, Matthew. Lily has 1, and you're making sure she knows exactly where she ranks in your priorities. That's not fair, he snapped. You're turning this into something it's not. I love Lily. No, I said, my voice steady and cold. You love the idea of Lily. You love being able to say you have a daughter when it's convenient. But actually showing up? Actually being her father? That's too much work when you have a shiny new family to focus on. He hung up on me. That's when something shifted inside me. I'd been trying to be the bigger person, trying to facilitate a relationship between Lily and her father because every child deserves that, right? Wrong. Not every man deserves to be called a father. And I was done protecting Matthew from the consequences of his choices. The divorce was finalized 2 months later. I got full custody as expected. Matthew got visitation rights that he rarely used. The child support he was ordered to pay? Let's just say enforcing it became a full-time job. But here's what really got me. Through mutual friends, I found out Matthew was planning this elaborate first birthday party for Connor. Rented venue, catering, a professional photographer. He was sparing no expense. Meanwhile, he'd sent Lily a card and $50 for her 11th birthday. A card. I spent that night staring at the ceiling, thinking about everything. About the 12 years I'd given to this marriage. About the daughter who was learning that her father's love was conditional. About how Matthew got to just move on while Lily and I picked up the pieces. And that's when the idea came to me. If Matthew wanted to prioritize his new family so badly, I'd make sure everyone knew exactly what kind of father and man he really was. I'm not a vindictive person by nature. I really believe that. But there's something about watching your child suffer that awakens something primal in you. I started documenting everything. Every missed visit. Every late child support payment. Every broken promise. I kept a detailed calendar with notes, screenshots of texts, emails, everything. But documentation wasn't enough. I needed something bigger. Something that would actually make a difference in Lily's life. That's when I remembered something Matthew had mentioned years ago, back when things were still good between us. His company had a strict morality clause in their executive contracts. Something about maintaining the integrity and reputation of the firm. Matthew had just been promoted to vice president 6 months before our separation. Big title, bigger salary, and a contract that explicitly stated any behavior that could bring disrepute to the company could result in termination. I wasn't sure if having a secret family qualified, but I knew someone who might. My college roommate, Diana, was a corporate lawyer. We'd lost touch over the years, but when I reached out, she was more than happy to help. Jess, if he was having an affair while married and misrepresenting his family situation to his employers, especially if it affects his financial obligations. Yeah, that could be problematic for him, she said over coffee. But you need to be careful. This could get messy. It's already messy, I told her. My daughter thinks her father doesn't love her. That's as messy as it gets. I did more digging. Turned out Matthew had never told his company about Connor. On all his benefits paperwork, emergency contacts, everything, it was just me and Lily listed. Even after our separation, he was hiding his entire second family from his employer while using company benefits to cover just us. Meanwhile, he was probably claiming financial hardship every time the Child Support Enforcement Office came calling. But I needed more than just paperwork. I needed evidence of how his choices were affecting his responsibilities. So I compiled everything. The missed visitations, the incomplete child support payments, the school events he'd skipped. I even included screenshots from Vanessa's very public social media, where she posted their perfect little family photos constantly. One post in particular caught my attention. It was from Connor's second birthday party, the expensive one I'd heard about. The caption read, "So grateful for this amazing man who gives our son the world. Best daddy ever. Best daddy ever." While his first child sat at home wondering why she wasn't enough. I included that post in my file too. Diana helped me craft a letter. Not threatening, not emotional, just factual. It outlined Matthew's situation. Married father of one who began an affair resulting in a second child. Separated but still legally married during the child's birth. Now divorced with court-ordered child support that was frequently late or incomplete. Missing scheduled custody visits with his first child while maintaining full involvement with his second family. We sent it to HR at his company along with the documentation. Not as a complaint, exactly. More as an FYI, you might want to be aware of this situation given his executive position and the morality clause. I didn't know what would happen. Maybe nothing. Maybe something. But 3 weeks later, I got a text from Matthew. "We need to talk. Now." We met at a coffee shop near his office. Neutral territory. When Matthew walked in, he looked like he hadn't slept in days. The expensive suit couldn't hide the exhaustion on his face. He didn't even sit down. Just stood there, hands shaking slightly as he gripped his phone. "What did you do?" His voice was low, controlled, but I could hear the fury underneath. "I don't know what you're talking about," I said calmly, stirring my coffee. "Don't play games with me, Jessica. HR called me in. They have a file. A very detailed file about my personal situation. They're launching an investigation." I looked up at him. "An investigation into what?" "You know exactly what." He slid into the seat across from me, leaning forward. "They're questioning whether I misrepresented my family status. Whether I've been using company benefits inappropriately. They're talking about ethics violations, Jess. This could cost me my job." "That sounds stressful," I said. "Kind of like how stressful it is explaining to your daughter why her father doesn't show up for her anymore." His jaw clenched. "This is different. This is my career. My livelihood. And Lily is your daughter. Your responsibility. But you seem to forget that pretty easily." "I never forgot about Lily. You missed her birthday. Her school play. 17 scheduled visitations in the last 8 months, Matthew. 17. You know how many you actually showed up for? 4. For out of 17. He sat back, running his hands through his hair. "I'm trying to balance everything. Connor's still so young, he needs." "I don't care what Connor needs." The words came out sharper than I intended, and a few people at nearby tables looked over. I lowered my voice. "Connor has 2 fully committed parents. Lily has 1. And you made that choice. Now you get to live with the consequences." Matthew's face changed then. The desperation shifted to something colder. "If I lose this job, you know what happens? The child support stops. Can't pay what I don't have. Is that what you want? To punish me so badly that Lily suffers too?" "Lily's already suffering," I said quietly. "She's suffering because her father replaced her. And no amount of money changes that. I didn't replace her." But even he didn't sound convinced. "Really? When's her birthday, Matthew? He blinked. What? Lily's birthday. What's the date? The silence stretched between us. I watched him struggle, saw the panic in his eyes as he couldn't immediately answer. November 19th, he finally said. November 16th. You're 3 days off. But I bet you know Connor's birthday down to the minute, don't you? He looked away. That's what I thought. I stood up, gathering my things. You did this to yourself, Matthew. All I did was tell the truth. If the truth is enough to cost you your job, that says everything about the choices you've made. Jess, please. No. I spent years protecting you, making excuses for you to Lily, trying to help you maintain a relationship with her even when you clearly didn't care enough to try. I'm done with that. You want to be Connor's hero? Fine. But don't expect me to keep covering for you while my daughter breaks a little more every time you let her down. I walked out, leaving him sitting there. The next few weeks were quiet. Too quiet. Matthew didn't lose his job, but from what I heard through the grapevine, he came close. The company put him on a performance improvement plan and moved him to a less prominent position. No more VP title, smaller office, and a very clear message that his personal conduct was under scrutiny. More importantly, though, something changed in how he approached his responsibilities. The child support payments started arriving on time. Every single month, like clockwork. Not because he suddenly became a better person, but because his company was now monitoring his finances as part of their ethics review. And the visits? Well, those increased too. Not to what they should have been, but better than before. Turned out when your employer knows you have a daughter you're court-ordered to see, and they're watching your ethics compliance, you suddenly find the time. But here's the thing about forced effort, Lily could tell. Mom, she said one Saturday after Matthew picked her up for their scheduled visit. Does Dad only come see me because he has to? My heart cracked a little. She was 11 years old and already understood the difference between obligation and love. I knelt down to her level. Baby, your dad loves you. He's made some choices that make it hard for him to show it the way you deserve. But he shows Connor all the time. I saw the pictures on his phone. They go to the zoo. And the movies. He takes him to parks. What do you say to that? How do you explain to your child that sometimes parents fail? That sometimes love isn't enough if someone doesn't choose to act on it? Some people don't know how to love more than one thing at a time, I said carefully. That's not your fault. That's not because you're not enough. That's his limitation, not yours. She thought about that for a moment. I don't think I want to keep waiting for him to figure it out, Mom. It hurts too much. That conversation changed something in me too. I realized I'd been so focused on making Matthew face consequences that I'd lost sight of what really mattered, helping Lily heal. I enrolled us both in therapy. Separately at first, then together. We needed professional help to navigate this, and I wasn't too proud to admit it. Lily started expressing herself more. Writing. Drawing. She even started a journal where she'd write letters to the dad she wished she had. Her therapist said it was healthy, a way to process the grief. And it was grief. Grief for the father who was physically alive but emotionally absent. Grief for the family we'd never be. As for me, I had my own work to do. I realized that somewhere along the way, I'd lost myself in being Matthew's wife, then in being the parent who picked up his slack, and then in being angry at him. I started rebuilding. My graphic design business took off when I actually had the energy to focus on it. I took on bigger clients, raised my rates, started making real money. I bought us a new house. Nothing huge, but it was ours. No memories of Matthew in every room. No ghost of a marriage haunting the hallways. Just me and Lily building something new. I even started dating again. Nothing serious, but it felt good to remember that I was more than just someone's ex-wife or someone's mother. Lily noticed the change in me. Mom, you're happier now, she said one night while we were making dinner together. Yeah, baby. I think I am. Even though Dad's not here? Especially because of that, I said honestly. Sometimes people leave our lives and it hurts. But sometimes that hurt makes room for better things. About a year after everything went down, I got an unexpected call. It was Vanessa. I almost didn't answer. What could she possibly have to say to me? But curiosity got the better of me. Jessica? Her voice was smaller than I'd imagined. I know this is weird, but I need to talk to you. I don't think we have anything to discuss, I said, keeping my voice neutral. Please, just 5 minutes. It's about Matthew. Something in her tone made me pause. She didn't sound angry or confrontational. She sounded defeated. We met at a park, far from either of our neighborhoods. She was pushing Connor in a stroller, and when she saw me, I noticed the dark circles under her eyes, the tired slump of her shoulders. "Thank you for meeting me," she said, sitting on a bench while Connor played nearby. "I know you have every reason to hate me." "I don't hate you," I said, and I was surprised to find it was true. "I don't know you well enough to hate you." She laughed bitterly. "Well, you should. I'm the other woman who broke up your marriage." "You didn't break up my marriage. Matthew did. He made those choices." She was quiet for a moment, watching Connor chase a pigeon. "He's doing it again." My stomach dropped. "What?" "There's someone else. At his new office. I found the messages last week." Her voice cracked. "Same pattern. Late nights. Business trips. I'm living your life now, Jessica. And I deserve it, I know I do, but Connor." She broke down then, and despite everything, I felt a pang of sympathy. Not for her, really. For the situation. For the cycle. "Does he see Lily?" she asked after she'd composed herself. "Honestly, sometimes. When it's convenient. When it doesn't interfere with his new life." She nodded slowly. "He's already doing the same with Connor. Missed his last 2 weekends because of work. But I know it's not work now. It's her." "I'm sorry," I said, and I meant it. "But why are you telling me this?" "Because you survived it," she said, looking at me directly for the first time. "You got out and you built something. I see your posts sometimes, your business, your daughter, the life you've created. How did you do it?" I sat there, looking at this woman who'd once been the villain in my story. Now she was just another person Matthew had failed. "I stopped waiting for him to be who I needed him to be," I said finally. "I stopped making myself smaller to accommodate his choices. And I focused on the one person who actually needed me, my daughter." "But doesn't Lily need her father?" "She needs a father who shows up. Who's present. Who chooses her. Matthew isn't capable of being that person. Maybe he never was." Once I accepted that, everything got easier. Vanessa wiped her eyes. "I thought I was special. I thought what we had was different. He told me you didn't understand him, that you'd grown apart, that." "He told me the same things about you eventually," I interrupted gently. "That you understood him. That Connor needed him in ways Lily didn't. It's what he does. He rewrites history to justify his choices." She looked down at her hands. "What do I do?" "That's not for me to say. But I'll tell you what I learned. You can't love someone into being better. You can't sacrifice enough, understand enough, or be patient enough to change who they fundamentally are. Matthew will always choose the new and shiny over what he already has. That's who he is." We sat in silence for a while, watching Connor play. "For what it's worth," Vanessa said quietly, "I'm sorry. For my part in hurting you and Lily. I told myself it was different, that we were different, but I was just lying to myself." "I appreciate that," I said. "But the person you really need to apologize to is Lily. She's the one who got hurt the most in all of this." Vanessa nodded, fresh tears rolling down her cheeks. I didn't hear from Vanessa again after that day. I didn't need to. Her story wasn't mine to carry anymore. But something shifted after that conversation. I realized that my revenge, if you could even call it that, wasn't about destroying Matthew. It was about refusing to be destroyed by him. The real victory wasn't in the HR investigation or the demotion or even the consistent child support payments. The real victory was in building a life where his absence didn't leave a gaping hole. Lily and I created our own traditions. Friday movie nights where we'd make popcorn and watch old musicals. Saturday morning pancakes where she'd help flip them, making a mess of the kitchen. Sunday afternoons at the art studio I'd enrolled her in, where her talent was finally being nurtured. She stopped asking about Matthew so much. Not because she stopped caring, but because she'd filled her life with things and people who actually showed up. My parents, who I'd kept at arm's length during the marriage because Matthew always made them feel unwelcome, became regular fixtures in our lives again. My mom taught Lily to bake. My dad taught her to change a tire and check the oil in my car. "Every woman should know how to take care of herself," he told her, and I saw her stand a little taller. She had male role models. Good ones. Ones who demonstrated that showing up wasn't extraordinary. It was just basic human decency. About 18 months after the divorce was finalized, Matthew called me. Not about missed payments or schedule changes. Just to talk. "How's Lily doing?" he asked, and he actually sounded like he wanted to know. "She's doing well. Really well, actually. Made honor roll this semester. Her art teacher says she's gifted." That's great." A pause. Does she ever ask about me? I could have lied. Could have made him feel better. But I didn't. Not as much anymore, I said honestly. She's learned to build a life that doesn't revolve around waiting for you. I messed up, didn't I? His voice was quiet. With her. With us. With everything. Yeah, Matthew. You did. Can I fix it? I don't know, I said. That's between you and Lily. But it would take actual effort. Consistent effort. Not just showing up when it's convenient or when you feel guilty. She deserves more than your leftovers. I want to try. Really try. Then try. But know that she's not waiting anymore. She's not that little girl sitting by the window hoping you'll show up. She's grown. And if you want a relationship with her, you'll have to earn it. He did try for a while. The visits became more regular. He started actually paying attention during their time together instead of being on his phone. He showed up to her art show. It wasn't perfect. There were still disappointments. But it was better. And you know what? That was enough for Lily. Not because she needed him, but because she'd learned she could be okay either way. One night, about 2 years after everything fell apart, Lily and I were sitting on our back porch, watching the sunset. Mom, can I ask you something? Always, baby. Are you glad Dad left? I thought about it carefully. I'm not glad about how much it hurt you. I'll never be glad about that. But am I glad we got to build this life? That we found out how strong we are? Yeah, I am. Me too, she said softly. I mean, I wish I had a dad who was different. But I like who we are now. I like us. I like us too, baby. She leaned her head on my shoulder. You know what Mrs. Patterson said in class today? She said that family isn't always about blood. It's about who shows up. Mrs. Patterson's a smart woman. Yeah, and by that definition, we have a pretty great family. You, me, Grandma, Grandpa, Aunt Diana, even Mr. Chin next door who always helps us with the garden. I kissed the top of her head, feeling tears prick my eyes. The best family. Do you think you'll ever get married again? Maybe someday. If I find someone who deserves to be part of what we've built. Someone who understands that you're the most important person in my life and always will be. Good, she said firmly. You deserve someone who shows up too, Mom. Here's what I learned through all of this. The sweetest revenge isn't destruction. It's transformation. Matthew thought he won when he left. He got his new family, his fresh start, his do-over with a younger woman, and a son who didn't know his flaws yet. But you know what he really got? The same patterns. The same inability to be present. The same cycle of choosing the new over nurturing what he already had. Last I heard, Vanessa left him. She got her own apartment, filed for custody, and started over. Good for her. She learned faster than I did. And Matthew? He's on marriage number 3 now. I only know because Lily mentioned it casually one day. She'd met the new girlfriend during a visit. She wasn't upset about it. She was indifferent. And honestly, that indifference was proof that she'd healed. She didn't need his approval anymore. Didn't need his presence to feel whole. She'd learned that lesson earlier than most people do. That you can't make someone love you the way you deserve. All you can do is love yourself enough to walk away. As for the revenge I served him, it wasn't the HR investigation, though I won't lie. That felt good in the moment. It wasn't even the financial pressure or the forced accountability. The real revenge was this. I became everything he said I couldn't be. He said I was too dependent. I built a 6-figure business. He said I was too emotional. I found strength in my emotions and taught my daughter to do the same. He said I held him back. I proved that he was the anchor, not me. But the sweetest part? The part that really would sting if he ever truly understood it? I'm happy. Genuinely, deeply happy. I wake up every morning in a home filled with love. I have a daughter who's confident, talented, and kind. I have a career I'm proud of. I have friends who show up. Family who supports me. And a life that's entirely mine. Matthew is still chasing something. Still looking for the next thing that will finally make him feel complete. Still running from himself. And me? I'm not running anymore. I'm planted. Rooted. Growing. That's the revenge he never saw coming. Not that I destroyed him, but that I didn't need to. His own choices did that just fine. All I had to do was step out of the way and build something beautiful in the space he left behind. So yeah, my ex put his new family over our son. Well, our daughter in my case. And yes, I served him revenge. But not the kind he expected. The best revenge isn't making someone pay. It's refusing to let their choices define your worth. It's building a life so full that their absence becomes irrelevant. To anyone out there going through something similar, You are not what someone else chose to walk away from. You are what you choose to build in the aftermath. If this story resonated with you, hit that subscribe button. Share it with someone who needs to hear it. And remember, your value was never determined by someone else's inability to see it. Thanks for listening to my story. Now go write your own comeback.